Welcome to Illuminati News. Some punk ass bitch flagged me last night, flagged my episode. My episode just talking about random shit. Uh, well, let's get on with it. Tonight we're going to be discussing psychology. The couple excerpts. Let's see here. Social consciousness is not the consciousness of separate individuals of the group taken apart from the group. To quote Le Bon in regard to what he calls a psychological crowd. Quote, whoever be the individuals that compose it, however like or unlike be their mode of life, their occupations, their character, or their intelligence, the fact that they have been transformed into a crowd puts them in possession of a sort of collective mind which makes them think, feel, think, and act in a manner quite different from that which each individual would feel, think, and act were he in the state of isolation. There are certain ideas and feelings which do not come into being or do not transform themselves into acts except the case of individuals forming a crowd. Gustave Le Bon, The Crowd. No, vampires don't breathe oxygen, and I need to breathe some oxygen filled with marijuana. uh, well, take it easy. Uh, yeah, so this group psychology, notice how it said feel, think, and act the same way. Those are the same exact words as Alice Bailey uses, which are quoted from Chapter 3 of Dark Side of Freemasonry. What's the name of those books? I'm going to get the books. Okay. Okay, here are my glasses. Uh, okay, so next quote here. The Crowd by Helen Clark. Within recent years, well, the very conception of the psychological problem of the crowd as it is, as it generally appears in social psychologies, is unsatisfactory to science. I forgot to switch the mic.
Unsatisfactory to science. Where was I? An opinion not uncommon among philosophers and sociologists is expressed by Durkheim when he says that the social psychic phenomena which we call social mind have an existence in themselves independent of their individual manifestations. Sumner admits that it appears as if there was a mind in the crowd which was different from the minds of the individuals which compose it, as if the crowd had a mystic power in it greater than the sum of the powers of its members. These statements seem to imply the association of individuals gives birth to a new being, an actual external force, a collective self or oversoul, a gigantic disembodied consciousness of some sort which constrains individuals to act in various ways. Such a conception may have a certain amount of poetic or practical truth, but it is of little psychological value. Certain writers, on the other hand, claim that no social mind exists apart from individual minds, that they are all purely psychical reciprocal operation comes to its fulfillment in the individual mind alone, that there is no need of a spiritualistic hypothesis or conception of some imaginary agent to explain social cooperation. It is one's opinion that since the Volks corpor can be nothing more than but bodies of individual members. So the Volks theo must consist of separate minds of these members. Steinthal regards such point of view to the individualistic. It ignores the psychical unity of society by considering the social whole of atomized individuals. In fact, neither conception is wholly correct. The psychology of the crowd is not a study either in individual minds or in a hypothetical oversoul. The first conception takes no account for the patterning and integration of the individual members. Second misinterprets the meaning of social organizations because it makes of it a special kind of existence. The arrangement and interaction of parts, not alone in the nature of those parts, gives the piece of machinery its peculiar characteristics. It is not enough to say that protoplasm is compounded of certain chemical elements. Neither it is necessary to introduce the activity of the vital force. The characteristics of living matter depend upon its peculiar mode of organization and its manner of functioning. A perception is more than its mental elements, not more in the sense that there are additional somethings, but in the sense that the elements are integrated and that the psychical processes involved not only changes in elements, but also changes in their organization. In a simple way, the mind is a of the crowd exists consists of a number of individual minds which bear to each other certain definable relations, and which exhibit in their totality certainly unique group characteristics. It is a necessary preliminary then to study the individual members who are the conscious elements of the crowd. But the final goal is the exposition of the patterning of these elements and the statement of the modes of their organization. Let's see, I think I might skip this part. Treatment of the result. Let's go to the next one. I can go back to that one later. Okay, so this is about Laban. The first Gustave Laban's Psychology of Crowds. Now, empirically, all soldiers are students of crowd psychology, and by hereditary instinct, many who have never heard of the idea are nevertheless practical. Where was that? Practical exponents of the whole science every time they take command of a parade. It was from this standpoint I had first studied the matter and had indeed written a long book on the subject before Laban's work came into my hands. Then at once I caught the concrete conception I had been searching for. Oops, that was one sentence. It will be remembered that Laban shows the spontaneous response to any given stimulus by a crowd can never be predicted by a simple arithmetical summary of the individual opinions of its members, but it is always a product of the subconscious or perhaps better hereditary instincts of the whole mass. The crowd becomes an entity whose collective willpower dominates the individual entirely. Entity. It was the word entity which caught my eye, and I thought, well, okay, so let's go to the next one here. In short, the invisible mental energy operating through the invisible material medium seizes upon a collection of minds and instantaneously transforms their characters into an opposite qualities. When a number of people are seized by the common impulse, it must be they are affected by some cause. Cause is purely mental. Its effects takes a specific and definite form. Therefore, we are logically compelled to conclude that the cause or mental force itself has been organized into a distinct and definite capacity of expression. As Laban intimates, there seems to be a psychological law of mental unity of crowds, which cannot be but mean the psychological elements which play upon the crowd have been organized into a temporary formal union. They reveal the nature of the instantaneous mental unity of the crowd. Thus, it would appear that the united elements of thought, invisible organized psychological unity, which sometimes affect the crowd, is as positive and actual an organization as the physical body of the crowd itself. The psychological crowd is a provisional being of heterogeneous elements, which for the moment are combined exactly as the cells which constitute a living body form in their reunion a new being which displays characteristics very different from those possessed by each of its cells singly. That's a quote from Laban. Does anybody know who this Mr. Laban is? Anybody got an idea? I know who he is, but I'm asking you. Gustav Le Bon. L-E space B-O-N. Gustav Le Bon. Or perhaps instead of who is he, who who read his book? Who read his book? I'm not talking about any of you. I'm talking about who in history was a student of Gustav Le Bon. Anybody got any guesses? Who was a student of Gustav Le Bon? Let's see some guesses. Let's see some motherfucking guesses. Uh, Gustav Le Bon. Psychology of Crowds. What was that written? 1890 something. No, I don't see any guesses, so I'll just tell you. Well, you see that Hitler and Lenin were students of Gustav Le Bon. They were both acting upon his. Why does all the stupidest shit go viral? Just pointing out somebody who's cross contaminating meat. It's got like a bunch of thousands of views. It's like, what the fuck? You don't put your hands in raw meat and then fucking touch it all on the bread you're about to fucking eat. Jesus Christ. What the fuck is wrong with people? God damn it. So let's go back to this. Where was I here? Gustav Le Bon. Different. Let's see. Here we go. It was Le Bon's definition of the psychological crowd, however, which has been, in fact, the starting point of most of the recent discussion and investigation of the field of collective behavior. Quote, this is Le Bon, Gustav Le Bon. Under certain circumstances, and only under those circumstances, an agglomeration of men presents new characteristics very different from those of the individuals composing it. The sentiments and ideas of all the persons in the gathering take one and the same direction, and their conscious personality vanishes. A collective mind is formed, doubtless transitory, but presenting very clear, defined characteristics. The gathering has become what, in the absence of a better expression, I will call an organized crowd, or, if the term is considered preferable, a psychological crowd. It forms a single being and is subject to the law of mental unity of crowds. we owe Laban. We owe to Laban also a suggestive explanation of the causes for the mental unity and other characteristics which he imputes to crowds. He points out that, in the first place, the individual acquires in the crowd a sense of irresistible power due to his awareness of the numbers of those acting with him, and a feeling of irresponsibility due to the fact that in the crowd the individual is anonymous. In the second place, crowds are affected by contagion, which determines their special characteristics and also the particular trend the behavior of the given crowd may take. In the third place, crowds display great suggestibility, which is, in fact, the explanation of the contagion. The psychological crowd, according to Laban, is always mentally inferior to the individuals of whom it is composed. This is because crowds can only act or decide on the basis of the qualities of the knowledge which its members have in common, and these are their ordinary qualities and ideas, particularly their instinctive traits, not their most distinctive individual traits and abilities. From the viewpoint of social values, however, the crowd may be better or worse than the single individual because of its suggestibility, which makes it susceptible of being influenced to the most criminal and most heroic acts. What we derived from Laban, that of the greatest importance for the further development of the study of collective behavior, however, is an impressive presentation of the idea of the psychological crowd as a real unity that a psychological crowd is a real unity which may be studied as such. Park has worked out the interpretation of the crowd which is somewhat different from that of Laban, and which is of interest to compare with the latter. Park's fundamental category for the use of the explanation of crowd behavior is rapport, which he defines as a condition of mutual responsiveness, such that every member of the group reacts immediately, spontaneously, and sympathetically to the sentiments and attitudes of every other member. The effect of the existence of this report in a crowd, according to the interpretation, is to produce in all the members of a state of consciousness in which all seem to share, but which is at the same time relatively independent of any one of them for its continuance. It owes its existence, in other words, not simply to the responses of the members of the crowd and to the external situation in which they are placed together, but also to the reciprocal stimulation suggestion which they exercise upon one another. This state of consciousness, shared by all, may be termed group consciousness, in a sense analogous to that of which in which doctrinaire socialist writers use the term class consciousness. Where was that here? It is the consciousness of participation in and self identification with the group, in this case, the crowd. It implies certain loss of self control on the part of the individuals in the crowd, the control lost by the individual members being transferred to the group as the whole or to the leader. In Park's conception, the development of all the report and group consciousness in the crowd may be thought of as a process in which the crowd becomes, in a sense, and a certain extent, organized. Laban, it will be remembered, had suggested that we might use the term organized crowd instead of psychological crowd. Culminating the stage of the organization of the crowd, according to Park, is the emergence of a collective representation. It becomes the representation of the symbol the crowd feels and wills, the moment when all members are suffused with the common collective excitement, dominated by the common and collective idea. Now, I got a little bit more here, but I just wanted to say one thing. Does any of you understand how this all pertains to modern times? How it all pertains to the past? How it pertains to the future? Does any of you remember the chapter 3 of Dark Side of Freemasonry? I've read it on here and I've talked about it extensively. Uh, should all become very clear to you. The concept of the collective representation, which was introduced into sociological literature by Durkheim, was used by him in an analysis of religion and social phenomenon. It is, in fact, the concept of very general utility in social science. It is largely through the instrumentality of the collective representations that groups are enabled to act collectively with some degree of continuity and consistency. A collective representation, in the broader sense, is any object, word, or phrase, personality, song, ritual, or the like, which has a common reference for all or many of the members of a given group. due to the part it has had in the past collective experiences. Durkheim makes the point that the words of the language are the collective representations. They are so in part because they are collective products. They develop and change their meanings in communication, as Dewey has pointed out, is the social process par excellence. And which Dewey is he talking about? John Dewey. Oh, Mr. John Dewey. They better be relevant because John Dewey said, we all need to unite because of an otherworldly threat. 1917. In the crowd, study of the popular mind, the French psychologist Gustave Le Bon endeavors to show that in the aggregate which constitutes a crowd, there is no summing up of an average struck between its elements. The most let me read this one. Collective mind. I think I've already read that one. It would be well for us to consider our church music from this new angle, even though we cannot accept Le Bon's theory in toto. A new mental perspective is always profitable. As organists, are we consistent when we expect the same people to be more musically intelligent, less mentally? That's not what it's looking. Where's that French Revolution part here? It's the rogue philosopher. Whoa! Don't move, page. Here it is. The Psychology of Revolution by Gustave Le Bon, translated by Bernard Mall, London. In this book, Mr. Le Bon, fresh from his study of the psychology of the crowd mind, proceeds to apply his conclusions to the interpretation of the cause and course and significance of the French Revolution. The results are at once interesting and disappointing. The author's application of his doctrines to the history of the remarkable time is very interesting, but I am inclined to think that they do not materially alter one's opinions on the forces which control the conduct of the actors or shape the course of the events of the drama. Mr. M. Le Bon's main contention is that history has failed to comprehend these matters because it has insisted on regarding the ideals and beliefs of the time as based on rational grounds. He recognizes that ideals and beliefs, religious, mystical, and political, have always been the main springs of great historical movements, and that to explain these movements, it is necessary to explain the origin of these beliefs. So long as psychology or history will regard these beliefs as voluntary or rational, he asserts they will remain inexplicable, for it is not the rational logic which conditions thought that generates them. However, since in existence they infect the crowd of individuals who compose the state, the spreading of the psychological laws which M. Le Bon has formulated in his work on the crowd psychology they produce, such as revolutionary movements, the reformation of the French Revolution itself. But these movements, as M. Le Bon himself remarks, page 29, quote, have usually commenced from the top, not from the bottom, end quote. Whatever sort of logical basis of ideals of Luther or Calvin may have had, I should have thought that those of Montesquieu, Voltaire, Turgot, Condorcet, Rousseau were preeminently rational. The Sansculottes may have not been rational, either in thought or action, but the ideals of their leaders, as M. Le Bon affirms, are absolutely necessary for crowd action, had originally been formed by very logical deductions from abstractly rational premises. M. Le Bon's analysis of the psychology of the various revolutionary assemblies and their leaders is extremely interesting and succinctly summarizes a great many important truths about their actions. Truths which political prejudices still existing often tend to obscure. But here again, I am rather inclined to question the novelty of conclusions. His description of the Jacobin mentality, for example, seems to me to reduce itself ultimately to the statement that the Jacobins were fanatics of the first water. Political fanaticism does not differ very markedly from the religious fanaticism at any time. I'm reading from a number of books. The really valuable point which M. LeBron establishes seems to me to be the fact that these political assemblies are simply crowds of the special kind, of a special kind, but subject to exactly the same psychological processes and presenting exactly the same psychological phenomena as the fortuitous collection of individuals that make up a mob. The passion of fear, so potent in crowds, was undoubtedly the master motive which dictated the conduct of the constituent and legislative assemblies and of the convention. In a very interesting chapter, M. Laban discusses the results of the democratic evolution in the modern political psychology of France. If his conclusions are true, the fiery trial through which the Third Republic is passing today may well be its salvation, but in the deeds of conduct of the French nation during the last months of 1914 suggests that the colors of the picture are unnecessarily dark. The translator's work would have been more effective if it had not been so literal. Some of the sentences of the book are certainly not English. Blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, next one. Next. Get some bars. Let's see. Did I read this one? Let's see. Is just right here. Well, we better go back some here. Okay. Now, unless we are content to regard any sort of social relationships as a norm, it would seem that we are justified to applying to groups of men the same criteria that we are used to determine whether an individual is adjusted or unadjusted. There are many instances where the behavior of the group results in serious maladjustment toward the community as a whole. Do we not hesitate to say that certain popular ideas are crazy, or that a crowd on certain occasions has lost its head, is swept away with passion, is hysterical? Thoughtful men know how little confidence may be placed in rumor and propaganda. When thousands of people visit the scene of a gruesome murder and carry away for souvenirs everything that is loose, even the newspapers speak of such behavior as an exhibition of morbid curiosity. Spasmodic reform movements are declared quixotic, like Don Quixote. Strikes are condemned because the behavior of those who participate in them frequently shows no concern for the public. Revolutionary groups are said to be intoxicated. Race riots and lynching mobs are regarded as insane attacks upon law and order. Men with common sense have long regarded such a phenomena as these as epidemic mental affections. Thus, I think we may fairly say that there is a generally recognized distinction between that social behavior which results in satisfactory adjustment and that which fails in this respect. To be sure, the social situation taken as a whole is never altogether satisfactory. There is always an element of struggle among the various factions, parties, cults, sects, or classes in the community. Each struggling group aspires to increase power and prestige, looks upon its imaginary future supremacy as a sort of millennium, and watches its rivals jealously regarding any expression of their will to power as a social menace. Nevertheless, there are recognized modes of adjustment between those rival groups which all cooperate in imposing upon the common rival, and without which there could be between the factions and the community no social peace or stability. These recognized forms of behavior are the social controls which constitute any community a society. And it is by creating an abnormal social environment in which the indulgence of behavior of the sort of inhibited by general social control is possible that a group becomes a crowd. Not every group is a crowd in a psychological sense of the term. Popularly speaking, a crowd is a multitude. There are writers who use the word crowd to denote the many, the mass, the common people, the rabble as distinguished from the superior few. Such writers tell us that the crowd is fickle, irresponsible, ignorant, easily swayed by ora- oracularly uttered half truths, oracular, oracularly, I don't know how to say it, incapable of discrimination, self criticism, or tolerance, given to enthusiasm, and uncontrolled by reason. In other words, the crowd is the vulgus. The men in the street, the lower classes. On the other hand, Democrats are inclined to idealize the crowd and dwell upon the possibilities for good. But whether one hold the crowd in contempt or in good opinion is usually a mere class prejudice. Laban, to whom I believe we are indebted for the first serious attempt to understand the psychology of the crowd as a special subject of study, started out with such a social prejudice. To his mind, also, the demos was a dreadful sort of conglomerate beast which might, unless held in check, destroy the social order in an orgy of revolution. But in the effort to learn just what are the mental habits of this animal, Laban saw that almost any group, large or small, could at times act and think as a crowd. Thus, crowd mentality was something which might happen to a group of people under certain conditions. The mere fact of their being present in large numbers was not enough to make them a crowd. Thus, with Laban, the psychology of the crowd becomes a study of those traits which are sometimes manifest in groups. The problem of the crowd becomes that the distinguishing crowd behavior from other forms of reaction to social situations. Laban thought that when a group became a crowd, a sort of mysterious collective mind was created. Like Jung recently, if I understand Jung correctly, he held that the personality was a sort of principle of individuation, individuation, a conscious achievement which existed over or alongside of a subconscious principle which was common to us all and identical. This common humanity, Laban thought, consisted of certain reflexes and animal impulses which existed chiefly in the spinal cord. Intellect, therefore, was nothing to do with it. When a group becomes a crowd, according to Laban, well, it sounds like Laban is another Rosicrucian. Spinal cord. There is a stripping off of the layers of consciousness of the layer of conscious personality along with all higher mental faculties. Hence, the individual in the crowd descends several rungs in the ladder of civilization. He becomes more of an automaton. He is more of a creature whose actions are governed by imitation and suggestion. He becomes at once credulous, passionate, and irresponsible. All this results from the fact that the individual merges himself with the anonymous and impersonal whole. We need not pause to discuss Laban's theory. It is rather old fashioned today, although much of it persists in different terminology of the writings of Trotter, McDougall, and Young. The point is that Laban, fanciful as his explanation may have been, was on the right track. He saw that the behavior of crowds is a special phenomenon of social psychology. The thought and the behavior of the crowd, the people in the crowd, is different from that which we find in their ordinary social relationships. On this point, Laban's thinking was essentially empirical. The facts of behavior justify such a distinction, and without it, it is difficult to see how a social psychology can be very significant. Let one make, let one who has knowledge of psychopathology watch a mob in the making, listen to its orators, talk with men who are about to go out on a strike, or have watched with sympathy and lynching of a person, or let him study a movement like the Communist Party, prohibition, or nation at war, or religious revival. Let him watch carefully a large popular audience, and he will see men whose behavior has, on the whole, shown the customary adaptations to real situations, suddenly manifest symptoms which in an isolated individual he would at once recognize as compulsive or even paranoiac. Paranoiac. I give an illustration. I give as an illustration an episode in the political history of New York City. In the fall of 1917, Mr. John P. Mitchell was candidate for re-election of the office of mayor. During his term in office, he had brought himself a bitter antipathy of certain religious groups as a result of the series of investigations into the management of certain charitable institutions. Moreover, Mr. Mitchell had given evidence that he favored America's entrance into the World War. As a candidate of the Fusion Party, he had the support of the elements of the community which the man in the street calls highbrow. Now, on none of these counts could the opposition make a public attack upon the mayor, although the matters to which I have referred were the real issues in the campaign. The main point of attack was made with an issue which at first sight appears irrelevant and insignificant. The opposition candidate attacked the educational policies of the administration, and the popular response was overwhelming. Because it was found that the school buildings in certain districts were overcrowded, while at the same time these buildings were only used one half of their capacity. The Board of Education, with approval of the mayor, sent to Gary, Indiana, and brought to New York a man who had established there a system which appeared to be both economical and in accord with contemporary educational psychology. Let's take a break. Pause for 1 second. They brought an expert from Gary, Indiana. Are you fucking kidding me? Anybody ever driven through Gary, Indiana? Jesus fucking Christ. About 30 schools have been organized in the fall of late 1917. The newspapers had given these schools the name Gary Schools. The word Gary suggested the United States Steel Corporation, and steel meant munitions, and munitions meant war. Moreover, the newer educational methods were associated with the General Education Board of the Rockefeller Foundation. The name Rockefeller meant big business capitalism. The Gary School was, well, capitalism, more like fucking communism. Gary's school issue was therefore an issue between designing capitalists and honest labor. In some of these schools, little shops were established in order that pupils might learn by doing. What purpose could such shops but training not have but that of training non-union workers who might therefore be able to take the places of union men if they should strike for their rights? That's funny. Here we have two phenomena which are known as psychologists substitution and rationalization. The Gary School, because of its certain unconscious associations with war and also with the inferiority complex which the working class feel when they compare their lot with that of the rich and the educated, was substituted for the real objects of resentment, since the latter could not be openly expressed. Again, the thought processes through which the evils of the Gary schools were elaborated were mechanisms by which the opposition to our entrance into the war and other things which the mayor represented could be made to appear as justifiable opposition to wicked capitalists. Remember, it says could be made to appear as justifiable opposition to wicked capitalists. See, they're playing games, everybody. All the elements dislike the mayor for the reason, blah, blah, blah. Steel Trust, Rockefellers, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, so I'm not going to get into this whole thing because it looks like it goes on for quite a bit. Crowd psychology. So the point of this all was so you all know that Gustave Le Bon was a favorite book of Schindler's and Lenin's. That's not an exaggeration. So while these dictators are out reading how to control the group mind of the fucking masses of sheeple, fucking because they did do it. Doesn't matter if they did it exactly by the book or if they changed. Well, what matters is that fucking people are controlled by the stupidest shit. I mean, literally fucking retarded. I mean, we're sitting here in fucking brain dead idiot land with fucking a bunch of fucking morons that can't take the heat. You know, I mean, it's just crazy. There's all these people fucking arguing about the stupidest shit, arguing about what they believe. Who gives a fuck about what you believe? What does the New World Order believe? That's what you better figure it out. Not sit there and fucking dwindle on your own fucking beliefs. Jesus fucking Christ. You're not gonna have any free beliefs if the fucking New World Order decides to fucking continue on the journey that it's going on. You're not gonna all your beliefs they're not gonna be your own, they're gonna be Mr. Rockefeller's. That famous Harriet Tubman quote that was taken out of the books. I could have freed thousands more slaves if only they had known they were slaves. If only they had known they were slaves. If only they had known they were slaves. That's an important quote, which I did verify in the books, even though the internet says it's not real. It's like, well, it's in the books. Are you sure it's not real, Mr. Internet? Fucking, I need a cigarette. These fucking sons of bitches. There's a lot going on in the world. A lot going on, and the people are fucking dimwit idiots that fucking can't get their head on straight. They want to run around thinking about everything that's not relevant. So when these Nazis and commies use this Gustav Le Bon psychology to mesmerize the masses, it's not a coincidence. Both students of the same fucking bullshit. God damn it. Both students of the same fucking goddamn bullshit. You know what's crazy is somebody flagged my video last night. It's like, what the fuck did I say that fucking hurt somebody's feelings? Somebody got some feelings hurt out there. Somebody, why the fuck does my camera always freeze? Where was I getting at? Let me just turn the house fan on real quick. I gotta turn the house fan on and open the window real quick. Let me see what I got here. Well, I don't want to play something too long. We'll play this real quick.
Various devices for
Be right back. I'm just gonna turn the fan on.
administering the toxin that were found in the laboratory certainly make it clear that purely defensive uses were not what the agency was limited to in any way. There were definite offensive uses. In fact, there were dart guns. You mentioned suicides. Well, I don't think a suicide is usually accomplished with a dart, particularly a gun that can place the dart in a human target in such a way that he doesn't even know that he's been hit.
There's no question about it. It was also for offensive reasons. No question.
Have you brought with you some of those devices which would have enabled the CIA to use this poison for?
We have indeed.
For killing people?
That was a clip from the church hearing. Anybody got any questions about what was being said tonight for 44 minutes, roughly? I'll put a link out in the audience for anyone wants to ask a question. Anybody got a motherfucking question? Come on with it. The group psychology is a heavy subject. That the manipulation of the masses, you better reread Dark Side of fucking Freemasonry, because chapter 3, think, feel, and express all. What does this say? The think, feel, and do the same things. This is the same bullshit that fucking this Laban dude, who's clearly a fucking Rosicrucian, if he thinks that these feelings are coming from your spine, because the Rosicrucians of the later 1800s believed that the fluids of the spine, the metaphorical sulfur and mercury and all this shit, would, once they combined correctly, that the kundalini would awaken and all this fucking bullshit. The spiritual gas. I've read so much of this fucking bullshit. Read so much of this fucking bullshit. Reading. Keep those people reading. Is anybody out there? Are these all just where's the I mean, you guys hear me ask questions. Does anybody answer? Do I cast my pearls before swine? It amazes me how much bullshit is on the internet. Every day it's some kind of new thing that's trending. Oh, this is just all so fucking ridiculous. What they're doing is they're fucking using a technological apparatus to put people into a collective mind, and they're testing it. They're testing it all, and everybody who comments, every one of your comments is monitored, and all these big groups of psychologists. Oh, how can we screw people over some more? I mean, that's basically what it all boils down to. How can they screw people over more? New World Order is dry fucking everybody raw. And then everybody just sitting around just fucking, there should be at least somebody fucking clicking that link and coming on here and asking some motherfucking questions. Because someday there may come a day when there will be no internet, that everything will be gone, no communication methods whatsoever. Nobody will know what's going on anywhere else. Nobody knows what the future holds. Nuclear wars, a giant asteroid, fucking tidal waves from a fucking giant earthquake. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Humanity has been sitting here for quite some time, nice and safe from the Mother Nature and her horrible wrath of fucking, the world is a fucked up place. When I was reading that book about the 1800s, saying all these thousands of people died from earthquakes and shit, that shit's fucked up. That's not. I've never read that in any encyclopedias or anything. It's like, what the fuck? They're talking about fucking like huge thousands and thousands of people getting fucking slaughtered by these earthquakes in the 1800s, and there's the numbers were just through the roof. It seemed like they were going down, but This psychology, it must be understood. The psychology must be understood because if we don't understand psychology, we're not going to understand what the fuck's going on. Crowd psychology. The abnormal physical effects which frequently occur in connection with religious rivals have been the subject of much psychological research. Elemental forces are displayed in these primitive traits, which may indicate the relative importance of social suggestion and instinctive tendencies for the psychology of religious experience. Two lines of research in recent psychology make it possible to examine the abnormal phenomena of the Methodist revival in the new light. First, with reference to psychology of crowds, and second, with reference to primary instincts. The facts concerning the origin of Methodism have been briefly set forth in the previous chapter. It is in such a setting there occur peculiar phenomenon, which illustrates many of the varied phases of the psychology of crowds and religious revivals. Some of these, the extreme physical effects, such as barking, jerks, and glossolalia, are ecstatic utterance, which have been observed in other revivals, are absent from the Methodist records, but the Journal of John Wesley contains detailed descriptions of experiences ranging from instantaneous conversion followed by immediate blah blah blah. See, these people are all fucked up. What was that? But in the Journal of John Wesley contains detailed description of experiences ranging from instantaneous conversion followed by immediate elation and joy and pathological tortures, both mental and physical, some of which culminate in permanent mental derangement. Abnormal physical effects attended Wesley's preaching only for a short period in his long ministry, and they were chiefly confined to the years 1939 or 1739 to 1742. Similar incidences occurred in connection with the camp meeting of early primitive Methodists, and examples are found in the Journal of Hugh Bourne. These extravagances of the Methodists, as Southey called them, were almost entirely absent from the services. Blah blah. Those who attended to interrupt the preachings. Blah blah. The physical phenomena recorded by John Wesley's journal are described in considerable detail. Miss Wedgwood refers to the monotonous formula made use of by Wesley to describe the symptoms of his penitence, and says that they effectually conceal from us all that should. See, you gotta understand, it's like people that are fucking using this knowledge of psychology and crowds are exercising people's fucking retardation, their fucking insanities. And it's not just religions, it's politics, secret societies, anything. Uh, the group mind. The group mind. Remember what Alice Bailey said? She said, Dejua Cool, Khul, aka her god or herself or who, I don't know what the fuck it is, but all I know is that bitch said that whatever that is controls the group mind of all of their secret society members. Now, what the fuck is she talking? I mean, I've already went over what the fuck she said. She claims that the consciousness of the star Sirius is fucking controlling their minds, and that fucking I'm not sure if it's just a symbol, which I would assume, but either way, that somebody in that cult represents that Sirius or whatever, and that they are controlling the collective minds of the group of collective Masons that are in the cults. It's a very bizarre subject because one would call it, one who is not competent in or proficient in psychology would call it witchcraft or magic or demons or something. But even the psychologists don't even really know how it all works. They don't know how the mind works. They don't know how the peer pressure reacts to the people. That this is, large groups of people are the most dangerous thing on the planet because they are dangerously dumb, and that they're using all this media and all this bullshit to fucking brainwash everybody. Why the fuck do you think I'm so blacklisted? Every fucking day I look at my subscriber count, it goes down. And and it's not just because my show sucks. It's because there are, same with fucking it's just fucking bullshit. It's like ever since I started my YouTube, I remember the first 2 years of YouTube back in like 2008 or whatever. They were all totally normal, getting tons of views and shit. And then all of a sudden, boof, fucking everything spikes down rock bottom. And it's like, and fucking same with posts on any type of social media. The posts aren't seen. Nobody's speaking of them. Nobody can even think. I don't even know if people can think because there's no reaction to any of the thoughts that I give to the people. Therefore, we're just dealing with a fucking whole bunch of idiots here. The thing is, though, it's how do we, the free people of the United States, how do we figure out how to, instead of have a control over people's minds in some way, how to fucking wake their asses up? How do we wake up these sheeple? How do we do it? How do we wake them up in a way into which they don't turn into some sort of fanaticist that fucking believes in all sorts of fucking crazy shit? That's the problem. Because once you wake something up, next thing you know, they're fucking, I remember, oh, I remember back like 15 years ago, one of my friends came over. Like, he was a friend of a friend, this dude, Tony, and he was like, he was totally brainwashed. His parents were rich. He was still living at home. He was totally brainwashed. And I'm like smoking a joint with him. I'm like, blah blah, just telling him all this shit, and he's like, "Whoa, that's amazing, whoa," and fucking, I wake his ass up. I take the time to tell him about all the unconstitutional laws and all the bullshit you could possibly think of. Wake his ass up. Next thing you know, he's fucking jumped onto the fucking socialist fucking algorithm, and fucking, oh, I'm gonna live in a car and do this and be a socialist and constitutional rights are bad. And that's where it just fucking when somebody says that rights are bad, that's when you know that they fucking hit the idiot pole. It's like, oh yeah, so rights are bad, huh? So why don't you explain to me why rights are bad? The dude couldn't explain. Then he went off and became a truck driver. Even though he didn't believe in the system. It's like, well, if you're such a big socialist, why don't you just fucking go move to Cuba? That's the problem with all these people. They all want to fucking glorify Russia and shit. Get the fuck out of here. You want to be in Russia? You want to be a Russian? Get the fuck out of here. You want to be this? Get the fuck out of here. I'm trying to be a fucking Americano. I don't know why I said that like that. I'm trying to be an American. Well, I mean, I am an American, but is there an America? Is there truly an America? Because if I take a silver coin and take it to any store and ask to spend it, are they going to give me the value of what the fucking coin's worth? No. And so if I get a parking ticket and I go to pay the parking ticket with a silver coin or gold coin or whatever, are they going to accept gold or silver with intrinsic value? No. So if the Constitution says no state shall tender in payment of debt anything other but than gold or silver coin, and none of the states will tender in payment of debt anything but gold or silver coin, or will only tender things that aren't gold and silver coin, then is there a constitution? The answer is no, because otherwise there would be gold and silver coin. And so therefore, thus we are slaves to the New World Order. Internationalists who control everything have, you've heard all the lectures, and if you haven't, just ask and I'll send you the right direction. Because I've played certain lectures on here before, which were definitely something which needs to be understood, but I don't even know if anybody understands it. Don't even know if anybody understands it. That's what's crazy. See, I brought this up the other night. It's like you could have the biggest message in the world, the most. You could have the cure for cancer or some shit. Anything, doesn't matter what it is. The biggest fucking message in the world to save the most people in the world. And you could say it all your life as loud as you can, every fucking thing you could possibly. And I guarantee you that none of it will get heard. Because this is not unorganic culture. It's quite the coincidence when supposedly when Jeffrey Epstein wins the lotto in 2008 of 36 million. Quite the coincidence. I don't know if it's real or not. There's so much shit going on in the world. How many other, if we were to do a background check on everybody that won the lotto, what do you think we would turn up? I mean, think about it. Is there anybody fucking awake? Fucking, I don't think anybody's awake. Yeah, the stupidest posts. 4,000 views telling somebody that their bread is cross-contaminated with raw meat. What was I gonna do? I guess there's a few more things to discuss. I think I'm gonna roll a cigarette. Yeah, there's not a lot of shit going on here. Yeah, so this Laban character is definitely something that should be read more thoroughly. Seems how Lenin and Hitler both were a big fan of Gustav Le Bon. L-E space B-O-N. Gustav Le Bon, The Group Consciousness. I mean, I should go grab that book, but I guarantee it'll make me sneeze if I open it. Chapter 3, Dark Side of Freemasonry. Read it and weep. Because there's not a lot of people that understand that chapter. I remember Jin furiously argued with me when I brought up that chapter. That's not true. Blah, blah, blah. When the fucking stupid occultists fucking argue with you about shit, you're onto something. Especially when the see, Cooper says something that's very simple. Very simple. He says, truth has no mystery. Truth has no mystery. Truth has no mystery. So what are all these mystery schools really teaching? These mystery schools aren't just confined to mystery schools. because Catholicism is a mystery school. 3 degrees, well, 4 degrees. What the fuck is that? So there's something on my glasses. Companion book. Let's use. I don't know. I think I got one. I think I might have that open on the tab. Yeah, Cooper. I was listening to a Cooper episode, and he was like talking about this psychology stuff, and I started digging into it a little more because he mentioned Gustav and Lenin and fucking Hitler both being a huge fan of this Gustav Le Bon. Le Bon. I don't know why I'm tipping tea up here. uh, the you know that my old lady was talking about in Michigan. We call our girlfriends or old ladies. And my old lady was talking about she about being a Catholic. I don't know much about Catholicism, but she's like, oh, the mysteries of blah blah, and it's like, oh yeah, so the Catholic mystery school. Because I've heard Cooper say that the religions have mysteries as well, not just the secret societies. And so, truth having no mystery, uh, well, it puts a damper on things, and people are running around claiming they got mysteries that ain't solved, and that I mean, there are some legitimate fucking mysteries that damn, I'll put this joint out and smoke a cigarette. The how was I getting at? There's a lot going on in the world. See, especially with religion. I mean, look at so take Paul and his 613 violations of Hebrew law, and then take Peter, who seemed to be the antithesis to Paul, and then you got Rome and St. Petersburg in modern times. St. Petersburg preaching the religion of Peter, and Rome preaching the religion of Paul. But meanwhile, the religion of Jesus is left dormant in the books because there's so many dogmas been created about everything. It's what was that word I was thinking of earlier? There's a word in Hebrew that means first misconception in Greek, carpenter means stonemason. So Jesus was a stonemason, which is overlooked by many, and that stonemason was was synonymous with not synonymous, but with the Atbash cipher, the opposite word or the connecting word was deception. Because see, in the ancient world, there's more to masonry than just cutting stones. And then imagine you have a trade secret that you don't want your trade secret to spread. And so you teach the trade secret in the first 2 degrees, but then you don't tell them what the trade secret is. They have no understanding. And that only the adepts will know the trade secret. But so that's the beauty of the ancient craft, that all the symbols and all the wisdom is all right there in the first degree. That everybody who's a member of Freemasonry has no recollection or any understanding of it. They don't understand because they can't see the surrealism. There's a book by where's it at? I know I downloaded it. Oh, god damn it. Oh, son of a bitch. Max Ernst. Ernst. And it's called what the fuck was that called? See, it's interesting because Cooper's last two episodes before the Vietnam episode, uh, Cooper's last episode, he's talking about the alchemical meme and the damn, I just need to stand up for a second. He's talking about the alchemical meme. Damn, let me just this alchemical meme. It's fucking it's damn it, I gotta sit back down. I can't think. Fucking I need to quit these cigarettes. The alchemical meme is a strong thing. And the Cooper points out that all these psychologists and all these artists and surrealists and stuff, all these secret society people, they all will talk about this subject, but they will all always leave out Fulcanelli's book, Mystery of the Cathedrals. And that Fulcanelli was an obvious member. He was an adept. Damn it, I should have smoked another joint. The cigarette sucks. Fulcanelli was a member. He was showing the surrealist story to the profane or us. The book was only published 300 copies in the original form. That the alchemical meme is how they control the masses. Because remember, when I was doing those quotes earlier in the episode, the crowd mind is very docile, but it's led by a leader or an idea, and the leader being proficient in the methodology of dispersing the ideas or the memes, the alchemical memes. He's who controls the power, and that the yeah, the cigarette's like doing the opposite of helping me think here. But so the memes have came into reality as literal in the most literal sense, with the visualizations of small pictures and ideas with words, and that, like what I was talking about the other night, the culturally defined uh the culturally defined mathematical equate or excuse me, the culturally defined jokes, that a joke is much like a meme, in which a person who speaks a different language or has a different culture may not understand the joke or the meme. So an exclusion is formed. Excuse me. But with the new basis of reality formed in the English language, which is spreading like wildfire to the people of the world, the people all around the world are trying to exercise their mind and be proficient in these memes so they can understand the American way of life, so they can be American. But to be American is not something that is in a meme. It's a joining of common bond of freedom. That's what America means. It's what it is when you're not defining it by the Constitution. And so, you can see the group think and process when you confront anyone who's a member of some sort of crowd mind, group mind, collective thought. You see the the group memes doing the responses, and that they're programming NPCs is what they're doing. NPCs are born. through the collective mind. And that fucking this collective mind is the most dangerous thing to freedom, because in the collective mind there is no individuality. Individuality is shunned. Mario. The collective mind. See, the culture creators did not like the 90s because people in the 90s were different. They were, well, people are still like that sometimes, but that they wanted to there was this edge, this cutting edge of newness, new realities, new culture, which was being stepped into through different uh scenes, I guess. And that the that the strive to be an individual seems to have been adjusted to a way in which the person striving to be an individual is no longer an individual, but striving to be part of a collective of people who think that they're individuals, such as these fucking goddamn hipsters that started in the 2008 area. Uh, that through their own supposed uniqueness of these whatever choice albums and their their the characteristics and the MOs of the supposed individualist is all very brought into a collectivist uh, strategy. And so the words have been switched where someone trying to attain this individuality is doing the opposite by absorbing the or by damn it, what is that word? I'm on like day 8, no caffeine, so no, I think it's way more than day 8. It's like day 12 or 14, I think. I did quit for like 3 months or 6 months, like last year, but I started drinking pop and caffeine and can't be drinking that shit. I seen this documentary on National Geographic once. It was all about these ants. This reminds me of something that Terrence McKenna says, where he says the people are collectively given uh, a substance, which is coffee or caffeine, which is the choice drug for a workforce or a slave nation. And so I was watching this National Geographic, and these ants were all, their whole colony was moving to collect these coffee beans, and that the ants were eating the caffeine until their pincher things were dissolving right off their face. And so you look in the real world and you see this type of mannerisms going on, and that the I mean, it's just there needs to be some cognitive apprehension. I mean, people are so lost in everything, looking for a way out, and the whole time it's a struggle to eat healthy and drink healthy foods, drink healthy, and I could eat fried spicy chicken sandwiches too. Well, I mean, I did eat one yesterday, but the I still quit, and I've been only drinking water. Fucking you know, the new world order. Its strategy is one of a strategy of slow 50-year, 100-year wars plans. Keep in mind, by wars, I don't mean literal, I mean mental wars. The Soviets and their 100-year mental war against Americans to destroy their minds and to make them think that socialism is inevitable. Socialism is inevitable. The only way out. You know, I see these posts from these big socialists who are complaining about everything except the fact that if America wasn't a debtor creditor nation, that this problem wouldn't be occurring. That if Americans were to go back and divert back to the 1800s ways of self farming and growing your own food and cattle and stuff, that the whole world would change, even if it was only 10% of the population which did such a thing. And that so that's why I'm starting a possum farm. No, I'm just joking. The yeah, so when a scale is out of balance, the only way to balance the scale is to do something opposite. Here's my oh, oops. Here's the possum farm. I'm just joking. There was one possum, but I photoshopped the other one. I photoshopped like 20 of them in there. Yeah, the fucking possums. Yeah, I've been feeding them. Feeding the possums. You gotta start somewhere. The what was I getting at? I'm just feeding the possums in hopes that the possums will eat ticks, and then I won't get covered in ticks when I machete all the fucking brush and stuff. But so the collective nature of humanity. I do have a video for this I made with the AI, but it's really shitty, and I'm still gonna play it. That the images. I think I played it a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Societies with mesmerism, hypnotism, and animal magnetism use the minds of the masses at their disposal. The New Age religion of secular humanism, situational ethics, conflicting with rational ethics. Aliens real or fake doesn't matter. Communication through organic voice stopped. Mankind lost track of language to think became forbidden. The cyborg man was birthed through the technocratic overlords. There became those who were forever the same, trying to keep the ancient ways, and those who were forever changing. Trying to beat God fools swam in the pride and flattery that the New World Order fed them.
I'm not sure why
indiscriminate hatred flooded the minds of the New Age religion fanatics. The lies had lobotomized their ability to have true empathy. They could not think, they could only follow who was Arthur C. Clarke. What was the consciousness evolution religion of monolith bullshit? When will man be free of the lies? Consequentially, indubitably incommensurability, cognitive apprehension lost in the malignant tumor of fantasy, and the deceptions reign as facts.
Yeah, so that's my garbage video. What was I getting at? You know, Cooper, I mean, it all started before they were already studying group psychology back in the 1890s, 1700s. The the study of it all, it went from people who were typically members of secret societies or fraternal orders, and then jumps from that to the early 30s to was it the 30s? Maybe it was like 1920 something. I don't remember if the sub project started in 1930s or, but anyways, the naval sub projects. They were studying hypnosis. They were putting people under hypnosis to do things to see if they could, and that, and then it went from there to an underground type movement because the studies became more and more, you know, not good to the public eye, and so Project Red Light and the Vacaville situation was born, and then the mind control doctors who were in the intelligence apparatus while simultaneously involved with various secret societies pushing an agenda. Uh, the situation that we are in as Americans is there's so many variables in which to and then every variable is well, I mean, basically, the New World Order has the world in checkmate. That everyone in the whole world is in checkmate. That the way the laws are set up, they can do anything they want. They can there can be a thing issued which says, we're taking everything you own, everything. Doesn't matter if there's a law or not, and you're getting thrown in Guantanamo Bay. That's what kind of world it's come to. Rights. We ain't got no rights. This reminds me of a song. A very wise song by, who was it? Ghostface Killer. The song is called Run. See, I don't know, it's just funny. That's a bad joke. So the what was I getting at? It's well, if America falls to the New World Order, and if everything that's left of the United States is gone someday because of a bunch of Marxist communists that hate America, that to be pro-American, to be pro-Constitution will be a very dangerous thing because everybody in the whole country just hates it. They hate America. They hate our Constitution. They want to blame everything on fucking Israel, and it's just insane. It's literally insane. They think that there's no world government. They think that all these problems going on between countries is really relevant, but it's like there's already been a world government. That the world government's got a world court. It's got a world economy bullshit. It's got fucking everything it needs. And that the world government is doing exactly what it is planning to do, which is to have planned incompetence. So all these different international problems and shit, it's all planned incompetence. They knew the situations would occur and that they don't do anything about it, even when America gives them millions, 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 fucking millions of dollars, you know, such as when Russia needed to clean up its fucking nuclear shit that was laying all over fuck, and that fucking America gave Russia like $250 million to fucking clean the shit up, and it didn't. And it's like, oh, are you fucking shitting me? Like, what the fuck is really going on here? Was it to clean something up? in Russia, or was it used for something else? What is really going on here? Because Ralph Epperson has an entire documentary about how Russia has wooden missiles that aren't even missiles, that are not capable of anything because they're just props, that they're just fucking made out of wood, and that fucking there's a lot of weird shit going on. The whole alien phenomenon bullshit. We don't know what the fuck it is. If aliens are real, then we're in the biggest fucking fight for our lives, for our planet, for our species, for humanity. If aliens are fake, then we're all a bunch of idiots, and that there's more technology than you could ever imagine out there, and that there's no possible chance of anyone being free. If man has the technology, and if man is using, THX 1137, 1138, already born. It's just that we're not wearing all the same clothes. See, it just blows me away that one of my friends who's a grown adult, he's forced by the government, by these uh institutes, these psychology things, to literally have a full month's worth of Respitol injected into his body once per month, and that if he doesn't do it, that they'll throw him in the loony bin or they'll throw him in jail. And fucking I couldn't believe my ears when he told me this. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're telling me that you're over 40 years old and you allowed this type of situation to happen? Are you fucking out of your mind?" Uh, all these fucking psychologists of these Nazis and commies, they had all this shit in mind when they were thinking this up back 70 years ago, 70, 80, 90 years ago. They were all thinking it up. It even goes back to Mesmer and Weishaupt and all these other fucks. There's their fucking long list of psychological bullshit. Reichenbach, the what's I can't think of any names right now. Damn it, I gotta take a leak. It's like the grasp and the hold of the secret societies on mankind through religions is incredible. That the power of the minds of the group collective to follow the lies and the disputations of insane people has grown enormously. It's never quit. No matter how much technology we got, there's still all these followers of all these insanities, and that it's the struggle for mankind to, god damn it. Nah, I just burned my shorts. These are expensive too. Fuck. I've worn these like once in 10 years. But so the collective minds of, for a person to escape out of the collective thought is something that is what mankind desperately needs. That if mankind cannot climb out of this metaphorical collective thought bullshit, then we're doomed to be controlled. Remember that there's no information is better than bad information. And that we see all these things in the world, and that we shouldn't believe anything. We shouldn't, because it's all dialectical traps. It's all the metaphorical witch's circle of culture and ideology and blinders which keep us from seeing things clearly. Oh, all right, I'm putting that joint out. Oh. All right, I guess one more cigarette for the road. Even though I'm not going anywhere. Well, I'm going to sleep. uh, the what was I getting at? The well, so the every day when we go on Facebook or Twitter and we see these posts and all these people, we have to remember that it's all they're all just milking people for responses for data collection. Poor old fucking what's his name, the coach of the Water Boy. He's on Twitter just making. He's just fucking like, oh, I like this, I like that. All these, you can tell that, like, I mean, it's just crazy because it's like the same fucking videos by people every fucking day. It's the same videos, same posts, different person. Uh, it's got so much views. And it's like, a million generic comments, and it's like, is everybody this dumb? Is this real? Or is everybody just this incredibly stupid? I mean, it doesn't go for but it's like you go on Facebook and you see these ads. It's like, I paid an electrician to do this, and the wiring's going through the main beam of the house, and blah blah. It's like, no, but you can tell that the wiring's fucking AI, first of all, and that there's people that you can tell that are contractors and stuff that are old that are answering this shit like, oh, blah blah blah, you can't do that, and it's like nobody can see it. Everybody's so fucking brain dead. They can't see that it's somebody milking for posts. Like, oh, I paid this much for my car to get this fixed. That's the new thing on Facebook. It's like, you see that type of bullshit. Then there's the videos of somebody preparing some kind of food item, and then a piece of plastic falls into it or something, and then they, this is all fucking retarded. These people are all just fucking. It's just crazy. It's like people are sitting around thinking like, how can I do some kind of video which will upset a person to make them hover over the video for 20 seconds and then comment. This is what they're doing. It's all fucking rage bait. It's all fucking it's like, I mean, technically we should abandon all these fucking platforms, all of them. We need to go back to ground fucking. We need to start a newspaper, a magazine, or something. Start a magazine that's gets popular and that fucking maybe even it's just it's hard to find a lot of good writers. Put them all in one spot. I mean, I think I can assemble a team, but like a newspaper, because we need something that can't be touched, can't be altered, can't be manipulated. We need something on the record. And if we write a newspaper, or because these documentaries, so these videos, it's like, I don't know. We gotta get back to the roots of things, and like maybe we should start all writing stories about the news and then trying to sell them to newspapers, and that's what the writer that I apprenticed under taught me. That's what he's a famous writer. I can't say who, but he's my friend's dad. But like, he taught me to sell the stories to the papers. Start off small, sell the stories to the newspapers. But it's like the stories that we want to write about these conspiracies, we can't sell them to the newspapers because they're never going to print those types of stories. So, thus, the only way is to make our own newspaper, and that the but then it's a matter of who reads it. You know, Cooper's strategy was to make a newspaper and to mail it to everybody in Washington D.C. and to make sure that they got a chance to read it because uh, what's going on? Kim Ruan, I can't pronounce that. Sorry. Uh, I mean, the way culture is, I mean, people are just, oh, it's just, I've never thought it would come to such a point of the dangerously dumb culture, you know, like my friend's little brother is fucking just brain dead. Even my friend, the, well, I've got lots of friends. They're not all brain dead though, but the, you know, it's like, it baffles my mind. These people like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. These exerciser people. I mean, I can see if you're just exercising. Oh, there's nothing wrong with exercising, but like this whole gym thing. There's a huge gym fad where all these people are going to the gym constantly, and it's like, can you even beat me in a handshake or an arm wrestle, motherfucker? Like you lifting all this weights and shit, trying to get strong, and aren't even. You know, my non-blood uncle was like that. No offense to him, but he couldn't lift shit. But like, you know, it's like one of my favorite things to do when I was younger was to trowel cement. Not just trowel, but to stack the blocks and to you know, put the walls up and stuff. And that because your hands, because it was the most intense training, the most intense physical endurance you could possibly do. Being out in the sun, 90 degrees, and you're fucking sweating your fucking brains out, and fucking, and you're sitting there just, you know, throwing 60-pound bags of cement in the cement mixer all day long, and fucking, you know, and the cement blocks aren't really heavy, but once you lift like 300 of them, your arms get a little bit raw. You're like, oh, your arms are just straight up burnt. And that the there's certain endurances like that where it's like all this training and all these fucking people going to the gym and stuff, moving all these little weights and their little pulleys and all this bullshit. It doesn't compete to real work. I mean, it's just fucked up. I don't even know why it works like that, but it just seems to work like that. Where I mean, I haven't worked in forever, but like I could guarantee I could still beat all my friends at a handshake that fucking lift weights and all this shit. The and if I could still beat them at wrestling. The wrestling is definitely. I don't even like wrestling, but I know it's the superior fighting style. I mean, it's because once it doesn't matter if somebody hits you or not. Once they hit you and you grab them, then it's all over. I mean, that's all there is to wrestling. That most real fights are usually either two people that are raw, you know, trying to wrestle one of the other persons down, or some kind of. It all depends on, you know, the type of fight, and if the person has any experience with fighting and all this stuff. Guess I'm gonna smoke one more joint for all the fallen homies. One of my friends passed away 2 weeks ago. It was very sad. This is my friend's little cousin. I knew him, but it was just sad. Life is short, you know. It's like people. I've seen so many people in my life just disappear, and it's like there's a big world out there, and it's I don't know. The it's just fucked up. You know, people with all these. The problem with what's going on is that people aren't communicating. I think I discussed this a little bit the other night. We need councils. We need councils, and I'm not talking about for. We need to become the councils because there are no there are no councils. You know, it's like Terrence Kennedy was talking about the Amazon. He's like he's like concerned about the deforestation of the Amazon. Fucking, he calls up the UN and is like, "Is there anybody fucking looking into this? You know, is there some kind of council of scientists that are trying to protect, you know, the defoliation of the plants that could save humanity?" That he found out there was no council. There's no nothing. Then all these fucking Al Gores and all this shit, they're all fucking idiots, full of shit. Al Gore is fucking crazy. You read his one book, and fucking Cooper quotes it. Fucking the book, Al Gore blames pollution on Christianity. I mean, I wish I was making it up because it sounds so fucking ridiculous. I mean, that's just crazy. And I'm not trying to, or I don't know, fucking Al Gore's retarded. The damn, I wish I could remember that quote because it was fucking hilarious. Uh, you really need to listen to the older episodes, the later episodes of Cooper before he passed, because a lot of those are really good. Especially the mind control one. He quotes so many books; it's insane. Uh, book by Delgado, a book by I need to re-listen to it and get the bibliography of it. It's there comes a time. But so it's very clear in the research that the entire psychology uh, instrument was developed by the secret societies because they were already using these techniques in their secret societies before they were ever introduced to the public. And that these techniques were clearly demonstrated in the writings of Alice Bailey and Foster Bailey and Benjamin Crumb and just a whole bunch of people that were all about the new age and all this shit. You see these movies like fucking the fuck is that stupid movie? That 70s movie where the guy is some kind of Aryan race looking motherfucker and he's playing some kind of Jesus part. It's the dawning of the age of Aquarius. That's all symbolism. Their destruction of all religions. The masses then identifying with the new religion, the new age. where man is God, that man created the universe that we all exist on. What was it? Somebody was bringing up. They're like, "Oh, science," and it's like, "Oh, science." I do love science, but it's like the Big Bang is entirely all of science. Just like Terence Skinner says, all of science is resting upon the faith that the Big Bang happened, because they don't have any actual evidence of it. They have evidence of parts of the universe moving and all this stuff, but their calculations, I guarantee the universe is so immense that it can't be calculated. Because it's like everywhere you look with the biggest, brightest telescopes, there's just more and more stars everywhere, more and more stars, and that they think that these space cartographers think that they're gonna create some sort of propulsion which will elevate mankind to the stars. They think that within our lifetime they're gonna put people on Mars. It's all bullshit. We don't know if there's any capabilities such as that, and if there is, that they've already been there. If there is, they've already been there. So I mean that begs to differ the question of the alien phenomenon, the research on dimethyltryptamine and other such things. See, all these scientists with all this fucking money and grants and power and ability to experiment with such things are not proficient in any forms of ancient shamanism or any understanding of the psychedelic realm, in which the ancient shamanic cultures were very literate of. That over time, through the gradualization of European culture, destroying and perverting ancient shamanism of South America, for example, that that the ancient ways have been lost. That some Catholic, uh what's his name? I mean, think about this. Some Catholic who was born in Colorado, who was Scottish, and who uh was studying, uh well, was just looking for any religion which had something that could physically show them something, some kind of literal thing. And that I'm talking about Terrence McKenna, because he what's interesting is that he's just some asshole from Colorado who decided to go to South America. He found out that all these tribes in South America were not practicing their true tradition, and fucking and that fucking he reintegrated the original traditions back into the cultures, trying to preserve the cultures, because they were being decimated by an onslaught uh, of epistemological narratives. And so that if if you know it's crazy because there's so many cultures that have had some sort of religion which was connected to a psychoactive compound or hallucinogenic, and that throughout time most of these religions have lost the hallucinogenic and maintained a corrupt version of the doctrine, replacing the main protagonist and the main conduit, or replacing it with something which was some sort of lost notion. And so, and it's not just for psychedelics and stuff, but also astronomy, botany, understanding of human consciousness and human nature. These were all lost. But the ancient people, what's very interesting about the religions of, well, the Jesus religion, is that the Revelations book, according to the Masons, was some of the Masons was a book that was predicting some sort of uh, asteroid belt or something that was it's been a great destruction, which happened 4 times every cycle of the 25,000 period. That the whoa, damn, my back hurts. Oh. Ouch. But so there's a lot of information which has been already attained but then re-lost, and that then you got to ask yourself, which is it easier to attain? Is it easier to build an entirely new system, or is it easier to recoup an old system in which the original assets can be properly reiterated? It begs the question. And so the well, so I think that the main goal of what our ideas should stretch towards is trying to create a self-replicating meme which will awaken people somehow, and it must be from some universal themology, in which, because there's so many people that are brainwashed by different narratives, communism, socialism, etc., Roman Catholic, Mormons, the New Age, the there's a problem going on with the what's it gonna get at there? Well, maybe I'll just try to bust out some kind of rap here in the end of the show. Hopefully it doesn't trigger off any I don't know if I'm too stoned to rap. I don't know if it's gonna trigger off any copyrights here. Where the fuck's the mouse at? God damn it. I take the battery out. Yo, coincidental from the mental with potential. Shit gets like the rent low coming back. Motherfucking Petro trying to get dough. Motherfucking techno with the motherfucking retro. that shit. Why? Cause it's bread flow. I got nothing. Yo, as I speculate, motherfuckers need to educate. Coming back to regulate the pocket like the motherfuckers lost it. Motherfuckers acting holocaust. Look at your face, it's written all across it. Motherfuckers be like, oh shit. Who the fuck, you the fuck knew it? Coming back, why? Cause my shit is so congruent. Motherfuckers rhyme with that shit like it is fluid. Do that shit, why? Cause I be the fucking student. Motherfuckers know that I'm coming with the student. Do that shit, why? Cause I'm rolling with the truth, bitch. Motherfuckers know that it's like, yo, reputable motherfucking shit like, I got nothing. Yo, all beyond the specification. No lecture the patient, come back with the, I got nothing. Yo, my podcast is out loud. Come back, that's how fast it, doing shit, motherfucking master it, coming back. Got your plastic, do that shit, why? Cause I'm looking like a master, old dirty, motherfucking, word, G. I'm so absurdly, do that shit, why? Cause I'm verbally, spitting flow, motherfucking shit on your bitches, though. That shit, why? Cause it's never written, though. Motherfuckers know, people got to get the gold. Motherfuckers trying to be, motherfuckers violently. With the motherfuckers shit like a trident. Be that coming back, right? Motherfuckers, that shit. Motherfuckers for the steps, too. With the motherfucking next goon, hit with the shit, cause I be up in it. Yeah, you motherfuckers don't like to get it. Motherfuckers be up in these bitches. That shit, why? Cause I'm playing it like cricket. That motherfucker that just plays that shit. Motherfucker down like the motherfucker wicked. Shit, when I did that shit, bitch, terrific. Motherfucker smoking on the weed, though. Coming back, trying to get. I got nothing. Yeah, this is such a good beat. Yo, I smoke so much weed, it's chronic, totally demonic. Motherfuckers think like an armpit. That shit, that oh shit. I'm not trying to be an alcoholic. So I'm gonna chill and then I call it. The weed breaks my wallet. Yeah, I'm probably gonna price it out here. Smoke all my weed up the milk. I gotta take a leak anyways. Reciprocate, motherfuckers better go and levitate. The motherfucking educate. Before we end back to the motherfucking segregate. And the shit culture gets motherfucking degraded. Motherfuckers. Alright, yeah, I'm passing out here. The window's making my feet cold, even open. Well, you better be listening to some Cooper and thinking about that shit, cause fucking, he says a lot of stuff that is, it's way over everybody's heads. There's some fan of Cooper's on Twitter that came on the show once, and I could tell that he was very versed in the research, but he wasn't understanding certain aspects of what Cooper was saying, because you could tell where he was bringing it, because I've had a lot of random people come on that only came on once. You can always tell when they're trying to push the whole blame everything on Israel thing, I've seen it. I've seen people try to pull their sales pitch a million fucking times, and it's like, I've heard every variation of all their little bullshit. And fucking, the fact of the matter is that fucking well, you can read the letters of the fucking Nazis that talk about how they ordered the fucking rubber seals for the doors. Because all these people are like, oh, there's no rubber seals in the doors. It's like, well, why the fuck are they writing about ordering them then? And why is there letters from soldiers and stuff that are saying all sorts of weird shit? Why are, because I do have a video which I'm not going to go into heavily, but I play a sample of it that, where is it at? I think it's somewhere right there. That fucking
down there.
it's like
It down.
I'm
You
not gonna
didn't see
play
no
this.
plane
I'm
until
not gonna
you
play
can't
this
stay
to
with
this,
us.
but
All them boys.
just imagine these people. Because when they're disrespecting, when they're saying certain stuff, it's like they're calling people like this guy on the screen here. They're calling him a liar. Same thing with stuff about because I was on JJ's channel and he's always got some troll in his audience named RR Channel, and fucking this RR Channel guy thinks that there's no shady shit going on. It's like, well, why are Vietnam vets saying that there's shady shit going on in Cambodia and shit with the intelligence apparatus and drugs? It's the same thing with the fucking Holocaust. It's like, well, it's like all these people that think it's not real. Why is this guy, for example, he's saying later in this thing, he says that he sees just fields and fields of fucking starving people, skin and bones, that they couldn't even eat, not even a candy bar. And that fucking the numbers of the slaves that worked for Krupp Steel, at one time they had 125,000. So if somebody was starving and they're working at some fucking steel factory and they got no food, these people are probably all fucking dying of malnutrition. And that, slavery is a disgusting thing. It's absolutely disgusting. And fucking, so is economic slavery and voluntary slavery. But when it's, all forms of it is disgusting. But, that there's old veterans and stuff. They tell their stories. I've heard a lot of their stories. And they are not making shit up. They don't want to talk about that shit. Because they've seen evil, dark shit that is the darkest shit that you've ever fucking never want to. You don't even want to fucking think about what the fuck these people have seen, that are these veterans, because they've seen horrible shit. And fucking that to call them liars is absolute atrocity. And that, especially with the Foo Fighters shit, it's like there's even two pictures of the Foo Fighters, and like for them to say that they don't know what the fuck they are and that there's no such thing as Foo Fighters, that fucking there's obviously something that was flying around with those fucking World War II planes. There's something fucking really weird going on with that whole situation that they're not telling us, and that the the Nazis had caves underneath Germany and stuff, and that fucking those caves, when the one dude went on there, Josh Gates, he went into one of them in one of his episodes of his TV show. The further down you went, the more radioactive it was. But these caves kept going and going. But they weren't just regular caves. They were caves that were used by the Nazis, and they were all sand on the floor. And that nobody knows how deep they go because nobody can go into them because of the radiation levels. And that some weird shit going on. I mean, the obsession with the occult, that one of the Nazis, who they must have seen something that drove their obsession to the occult. There was no just a blind obsession. They must have seen something. Where the fuck is my mouse at? Just like when Rockefeller paid that Dr. Jack, what's his name? I can't remember his name. I played his videos on here. He paid him to conduct studies on people that were under that were alien abduction phenomenon people. Paid him to conduct studies. Was it to cover up possible studies that were already going on with people that were hypnotized to believe that they were abducted by aliens? Or was it that Rockefeller had witnessed something, perhaps even himself, and that he was willing to throw any amount of money at it to try to figure out what the fuck was going on? And that the answer of him already having some programs that were brainwashing people to believe in aliens, and then another program of the doctor trying to analyze these people to cover it up, that would be the more safe feeling route of which I would, if that was the case. But if it was literal aliens or some sort of phenomenon, and that definitely is, it all leans one way or the other. Either A, we're in a giant world of shit. Well, I guess they both lead to a giant world of shit. But but either A, the aliens aren't real and it's all some kind of giant game to cover up technology, and that's the less dangerous scenario. I mean, that's what we hope is going on, is that scenario. But the other scenario is B, that uh that there's some sort of alien intelligence that has been, excuse me, fucking with mankind and genetically manipulating us, possibly taking our organs or our sexual, the chromosomes or whatever, eggs and stuff. Because nobody knows if it's real. If it is real, then are women having their eggs taken by some sort of weird creatures from another planet with some kind of weird technology? Or B, is there a government, or A, is there a government program in which they're harvesting human eggs for us? Or is it all just, I guess there's a C, where is it all just bullshit and all some kind of psychological hypnosis cover up, and that it's all to see how far they can brainwash people? Or there could be a D, in which the victims of the alien abduction phenomenon are in some kind of cults, and that the cults are using these ideas to ping the kind of like velociraptors checking the fences. They're using it to somehow get into our country's intelligentsia apparatus, not like physically, but to see, as it could all be some kind of psychological thing, that these people that are saying they're abducted by aliens could be in some kind of cult. They could be they could be doing the whole alien thing to try to undermine our country somehow or something. I mean, that's a long subject, which I'll have to bring up another day. But I'm gonna go to sleep because my back hurts. All right. Well, good night. Where's the mouse at? Damn, fucking battery died. Good night, and listen to William Cooper, hourthetime.com. Listen to the psychological, the mind control series, which is in the special sets. If you haven't listened to it, it's 5 parts. You definitely need to listen to it, and also listen to episodes in the 1800s numbers range. All right, peace out.